Growing up in Rwanda as a child, it was beautiful. I had many friends. We lived in a beautiful neighborhood. We had an avocado tree in our backyard, and I had my friends who walked back to school. As a kid, I liked to climb the trees. People were caring, and we were happy.
Talk about when things changed.
My name is Josie Mumukunda Alex. I'm from Rwanda. I came to the United States when I was 18 years old because of the genocide that was happening in my country of Rwanda. I'm a student and I'm in the process of trying to medical school. I'm a firm believer of Jesus and I'm part of Team Cornerstone.
When you were a child, growing up in Rwanda, what was it like?
Growing up in Rwanda as a child, it was beautiful. My parents, we didn't have much, but we were blessed. I had many friends. We lived in a beautiful neighborhood. People were caring. We didn't have so much, but there was not that much worries, and we were happy. It was beautiful. I loved it.
And then talk about when things changed.
I was young to notice because as a young kid, I liked to play a lot. I didn't pay attention to what was happening too much. But I remember one day waking up in the morning and my parents telling us that we can't go like anywhere. And we asked why, and they were like, I saw my parents, my dad and my mom, my sister listening closer to the radio, and so I heard that the plane got shot, and there is a war going on. But I didn't understand. Like, to me, what is a war? What is it?
At what point did you understand that this was something serious?
One time, my sister, and some cousin, we woke up 8 in the morning, like 6 in the morning, and we went to church. And then when we were at church, my dad, all of a sudden, we turned around to look, and there's my dad. And I'm wondering what he's doing, and he signaled my sister to come, and we talked to her and said, "Oh, we have to go back home. You can't go anywhere." So that was a change, and also. I had family members, my cousin that lived in another city or state, I guess you can call it. Then they moved into our house. And so when they moved into our house, I was like, oh, okay, things must be getting serious and getting bad. And then another time I realized the change was when my uncle came to hide to our house. Because he was being chased and we had to hide him. But he couldn't stay there too long because we were worried that they'll also come for him. And my mom also, like, she couldn't leave or go anywhere because she was also a target. So all those small cues showed me that there was a change. I mean, I didn't understand how big the change was. And I noticed like people were acting afraid, and they didn't talk open, and
Were you scared?
At first I wasn't scared, but then when I started hearing I wouldn't call it like gun noise and things like that. That's when I became scared. And another time I heard the screaming in the middle of the night, and days later on I found out that it was actually my neighbor. Our neighbors, people broke into their house and completely wiped out the whole family.
At what point did you guys leave and have to flee from Rwanda?
3 to 4 months after the genocide started, we waited a minute for 2-3 months, I believe. And then that's when we realized, like, okay, it's time to go. Everyone was leaving then. We were some of the last people, actually.
And how old were you at the time?
I was 12 years old.
So you left.
We-
Where did you go?
We left and then we went to my grandma's house, which was like maybe in a different city, like 3 hours away. We stayed there for a few nights. But so we left, me, my mom, and my sister, and cousin, and aunt. We left by my dad, and everyone else stayed behind because we didn't want to leave the house. And we started seeing people passing by, freeing, like carrying mattresses, and everyone is like, oh, things are getting tough. It's time to go. It's time to go. And wait a few days. Eventually, my dad also met us at my grandma's house, and we all left it together. We had to. You didn't even have time to pack. You just leave with a small bag and whatever you are wearing.
And you left, and
And
then
the food.
you went to the camp.
We left, and then we walked. It took us like almost a month, like walking on food, and we'll pause and sleep. Some like abandoned school, like people that were freeing took over. They'll come and find a place like a library or a school, and they'll settle there for the night, and then you camp there a little bit, then you wake up the next day, you keep going, and sometimes you walk at night. But it took us like close to a month to cross the border to go to Congo.
And when you got into the Congo, and you finally got to a camp, what was that like?
I remember we crossed the border, and it was the first time we got walking into the camp and the refugee camp. And it was crowded. There were people everywhere, and children, and women, and men, and orphans, people that didn't know where their families are, and they're like the UN and the Red Cross and all these other organizations. And then we arrived, and we went to there was a center where you go to register, like put down your names and how many people in your family and things like that. We registered, and then the first few days, like they didn't even give us a tent. There were no tents, so we just slept outside. Actually, we had a mattress. So, but the mattress wasn't big enough for all of us. So, I think like me, my sister, and maybe my brother slept on the mattress, and my parents probably slept just on the ground around. And then after like maybe a few weeks, they moved us to another refugee camp, and there they give you a tent, and then they also give you like meals, like portion meals, based on how many people you have in your family.
And your family was responsible for every day getting food and
Every
getting
day,
water.
yes.
And what was that like for you as a little girl?
I had to grow up fast. In the refugee camp, we started a business selling tea because we needed a way to make a living. So tea in the morning. So we used to wake up probably like 5 in the morning. There was a road, big street road where some of the local people, the natives, used to pass by going to work or going to the markets. And some other refugees also, like if you had money, you can come and buy tea. So we set up a little stand, and we sold tea in the morning. Like I'd be out there. A couple times I was out there like 6 in the morning selling tea. And then I also had other duties, like you have to go fetch water, and if you wait in lines, and you have to go to get food, and or to find wood to cook with.
Much of what you describe about the camps, it just feels very hopeless. Were you able to maintain hope, even going through the camps, even with the difficulties that your family was going through, even with knowing what was happening in Rwanda? Or what was it like as a believer in Jesus, like during all that time, and with all the difficulties at the same time?
honestly, there was nothing else to do other than hope and survive, like hope that you can survive. People were dying left and right, and including my brother. And so, I would say what kept me going mostly was my mother. I credit that my mother a lot.
What did your mom do?
She was amazing. At one time, I remember when we first crossed the border, she sold like her necklaces and jewelry and ring, so that she can buy food for us. And then, not only that, also the fact, like, I remember she was always the one, like, when my brother got sick of cholera, my mom was by his side. And I didn't understand it then, but now I understand what was like just sitting like next to him 24/7. He's not receiving any medication. He's losing a lot of water, and he's not getting better. He's losing weight, and at one time I was even scared to go. It got to a point where one time I was scared to go to see him because how he looked, and I didn't see them. I never saw my mom cry, not even once. And even when my young brother passed, I didn't see her cry. I know she was hurting deep inside.
Why do you think that was?
I don't know. I think it has to do with the fact that she's been through a lot, and also like growing up, her childhood was very difficult. But also I think like it's also she's a believer, and she prays a lot. So that I think that also helped. But also I think it has to do with everything that we went through, everything that we're experiencing. And to tell the truth, at one time there was no time to even think about what's happening around us or feel sorry for ourselves. I think that's really like why a lot of things, it wasn't, to me it was just like I got into a mentality. I just like you find you have a beautiful childhood, you play your friends, and all of a sudden there's this big change and you have to adapt. And that's how our family, and that's what I did, and there was no time to think.
Was there ever a time that you had a chance to process everything that had happened?
No, you don't have the time to process, because things were constantly happening left and right. Today is one thing. We don't even know how long we're going to be in the camp, and there was rumors that I might have to move, and the government in Congo are not happy. They didn't like refugees, and I remember we used to get teased. They made a song about refugees and teasing them, and so we didn't know like how long we're going to stay there. You don't even know what tomorrow is going to be like. So there was no time to process.
So eventually, you were able to travel from camp to camp.
Yes.
And for how many years were you going from refugee camp to refugee camp in Africa?
Total of 4 years.
During all of that time, which just sounds like incredible hardship for a lot of years, was there ever anybody that showed you kindness, that like impacted you and just acted in a way that was Christ-like? Did you have an experience like that?
Yes, a lot. That's actually so many experiences like that actually. When we were fleeing Rwanda, my sister got burned, and a stranger gave us an antibiotic tube for headache because headache was swollen and infected. In Congo, there was a Congolese family that like gave us food, like brought like bananas, and when my brother died, we didn't have a coffin, and there's a Congolese family that gave us sheets. So there was he wasn't buried in a coffin. Like they wrapped him in the sheets, like bed sheets. And like they came, even the fact that they came and helped us bury him. For us,
Did you know that family that helped you?
we didn't know them.
Why do you think they helped you?
I feel like our whole life, it's like it was always like things were planned out. I don't know, like we're finding these people and strangers who don't even know us and like helping us. If you ask me, it was all like God was watching over us. And
were you able to? Did you understand that at the time? Did you think that at the time?
No.
When was it that you kind of were able to finally in your life look back and say, I feel like this is planned out. I feel like this was God.
Well, I think when I was on the plane
Coming to America.
Yes, when I was on the plane coming to America, I think that's when I.
And how old were you at the time when you came to America?
18. I was 18 years.
And you were on the plane coming to America.
I was on the plane to America.
So what were your thoughts? What were you thinking?
It was overwhelming. I remember when we received the news that we were going to America. I still didn't believe it. So I was, to me, I was okay, I'll believe it when I was on the plane. Even going through the checkups at the airport in Zambia, I still didn't believe it because there was a chance. I have heard stories that like you are sitting on the airplane, someone comes and like say, oh, you have to get out, come back, you can go. So for me, I was like, okay, I'm not going to believe it until I'm up in the air and on that plane, and there is no way that plane is going to turn around. That's when it hit me. I didn't know. Also, I didn't know what to explain, what to think. I was happy. I was like, God, all those prayers and finally answered. And I remember being one time in the Congo. When I was in Zambia, I was able to go to a boarding school, and I had to find my own. Actually, I had to go out there at 16 years old and find a school myself. I walked into the headmaster's office. I walked into organizations that help refugees, and I told them I want to go to school, and they helped me. But I remember one time I was sitting at a boarding school and I had this red Bible. I will never forget. I still have it to this day. And I'll read it and I'll highlight and I was just praying like, God, get me out of here. Even though I was now at a school, I didn't speak English and we were still poor. I was like, this is not a life for me. And I'll pray, please God, get me out of here. So when I was finally on that airplane, and I was like, oh my God, like this is really happened. Finally, there's a God out here, and they listened to my prayers, and my family were also, we all couldn't believe it. It was too much to process at one time. But deep down, I was filled with joy, but also, there was also fear because you're going to a new country, you don't know anyone. But at least now, I was like, okay, we don't have to run anymore.
So you got to America, and you didn't really speak English. Barely, and you had to learn. And then, what did you want to do when you got to America? When was it that you decided to start pursuing something in America?
So I got to America for the first year. We couldn't learn or go to school. I worked at a post. My first job was at a post. I was a cashier, so I think I'm Mrs. And then because I didn't speak good English, I was not able to communicate with customers. They let me go, and then I applied at a post office and started working there.
Talk about when you enrolled in community college and just what the education opportunity meant for you in America, and how did you think about that?
So I enrolled in a community college in Salt Lake City, Utah. Even though now I had access to all these opportunities and classroom and I was now exposed to things I wasn't exposed to before.
What was that like, being exposed to all these new things that you've never had access to before?
I didn't know how to navigate it. It was too much for me. I was overwhelmed, and so I dropped out of college and went back to working. I physically, emotionally, I didn't know how to. It was too much for me. I didn't know what to study. I was behind a lot.
Did you doubt that at
doubt.
any point that you'd be able to make it?
I think I was that a little bit.
What
yes.
made you keep pushing on?
By that time, I was start doing some deep thinking and what is it that I want to do. And then when I felt like I kind of knew what I wanted, and I was comfortable with my English, and I was like, okay, I'll give it a try again.
How many years was that before you went back to school?
It was actually like almost like 8 years.
8 years?
Yes, 8 years. I worked 2 years, and then I enrolled in a like a tech school. It was a sleep study school. And when I was about to finish, like I was in my 6th month, and the school closed. And so I was like, that was a discouragement. And I went back to working, and like for 6 more years. And then I was like, okay, now it's time to give an education another chance.
And then you went to the University of Connecticut.
I started off at a community college in Chicago. And then I went to Gateway Community College in New Haven, Connecticut.
And now you've just graduated.
Yes, I just graduated from University of Connecticut.
And talk about what you're pursuing. What's next for you?
So I'm in the process of applying to medical school. And I also work as do research as a pre-med at a research lab. It's a psychiatry research lab at Yale. It's part of Yale University and also the VA hospital. And our lab focuses on veterans populations. And one of my projects right now I'm working on is to define how do homeless veterans define a home. Yes, and my goal is to become I'm an aspiring physician, and I'm also interested in learning about psychological diseases, and I hope to save underserved the community. That's what I want to do.
What do you feel like your entire life, the challenges you've had since the time you were a small girl in Rwanda, into the Congo, and Zambia, and in Salt Lake City, into Chicago, what do you think that all of those experiences have taught you about people, about God? There
have been so many hardship in my life, but I refuse to let it define me. What has taught me is perseverance, not to give up. I don't give up easily now. I don't take no. I believe there's always a way, no matter what. And also, I think my experiences have also shaped me into the person I am today. Driven. I still believe in humanity. I still believe there's still, regardless of everything that I have experienced or have seen or the suffering, I still believe there's still goodness in people.
You'd say you're an optimist?
Yes. I'm an optimist.
What about your faith?
I'm a big fan of hope. Hope kept us through. Hope is what got me here.
Whenever everybody else was feeling hopeless, what would you think about to have hope? What would do that for you?
What always gave me hope was that knowing that, to me, I felt like I saw God's hand in our life, like everywhere we passed. God has a plan for us, and He has been with us. He has gotten us through so many things that we're not even thinking we're not even capable able to get ourselves out of. So I will tell the next person, don't never lose hope.
Is that, if you could say one thing to kids today, I mean, even like look in this camera and like, what would be the thing that you would really want young people in America, at Cornerstone, all around the world to understand that you've learned from your experience?
No matter what you're going through, no matter how many hardship you face in life, no matter how much sufferings and how things might seem like there is no light out of the tunnel, if you have hope and if you are persistent and if you are driven and motivated and you work hard and you believe in God, everything is possible.